Welcome back to the VR Workshop. In this video, we're turning a bike into a collection of parts. We made good progress in the last video. We've got all the major bodywork components removed, which is revealing a rather lovely bike. But we've got to think of how this is all going to get packaged up, because realistically I'm going to take the parts off, as I mentioned, and the rest will be sold. And the chances of it being sold in this country are slim to none. So it's going to be shipped somewhere, whether it's Australia, Europe, UK, somewhere, US. There's a big following globally for these, so wherever these parts go, it's definitely going to go in a box. So I want to collate all the plastics in one place. So that includes this. And obviously this is the front mudguard, but there's more plastic around the back here as well. So we're going to start from the back end and start stripping everything off the back end before we move to the front, and then have a look at this motor and we'll get that out as well. So to get these plastics out, we have a heat shield, or a couple of heat shields, then we need the exhausts, and we'll work backwards from there. These heat shields are great. They're obviously standard OEM, which I'm really surprised that they're still here as OEM. They're just tiny little spring clips, which just, I was going to say clipped in, but they're actually clipped in quite well. There we go. It's, I mean, it's ingenious. You would never get that now. Okay, that one's bent a little bit. We can bend that back out. But such a dainty little thing, and it serves the purpose to stop the heat transferring from the exhaust. It's great. Same with this one. I'm not quite sure why there's holes here, but it seems that when the tank is pushed down, any residue heat coming up, it keeps the tank cooler. It's just a lovely little bit of engineering. It's great. I'll get this one off, and then maybe we'll see where the exhaust are. We'll get the exhaust off next. I'm amazed at how good the condition of these exhausts are. I mean, there's obviously heat shields over the top of it, but they're in amazing condition. They really are. It's very, very good. From what we can see, there's two manifold bolts. There's a mid bolt for the exhaust and one at the end. And there's a cute little bracket which actually must support the exhaust while you're bolting everything up. I love it. Before I get these off, I'll get the battery out. Stop me shorting anything on it. We're not going to use that anymore. For those eagle-eyed people who noticed that there was a battery cover missing on this bike, it's not missing. I do have it. I had the battery on charge when we went to the track day, and I just didn't bother putting it back on. It exists. We have everything. Feels like a 12. Ooh. I think I'm going to have to take the top pipe off first. I think. Now, for those who just noticed a little wry smile there, as I've slackened off this bolt, that little exhaust stay that I was telling you about, it's just sitting, resting on there. A great little idea. Let me show you. So an engineer somewhere decided that juggling two mounting bolts and two manifold nuts would be a bit of a challenge for an exhaust this size. So they just put this lovely little bracket which supports the exhaust while you put it on. How cool is that? Now, just as I was moving the exhaust there, I think I might know why the bracket's there. I suspect this is heavy. It's not too bad. The jigsaw puzzle. My God, it's in great condition. Amazing. Like everything we're finding on this bike, again, it's just everything's in great condition. Now, These have got to be painted. There's no way they're stock like this. You can see the paint on them, but when they were painted, I do not know. But even though they're in very, very good condition. I'm just looking, I thought that was rust on the bracket there, but nope, it's just dirt. They're just incredibly good. The exhausts have opened up a little bit on this, and we can see a lot more interesting things which we've never seen before. I love all these bikes, they're so mechanical. That, I presume, is the, yeah, that's the oil pump, the two-stroke oil pump. The cable operated there. Can't really see it much yet, but I know these go to the carb from previous experience. This is an interesting one. I'm presuming this is part of the pump, but we need to get this plate of plastic off. To get that off, we need to remove the battery tray, and then we'll get a better look at this mechanical genius setup. There's the rest of our battery tray. So it's revealed that the loom doesn't split in the middle. I was hoping it would. So we're going to have to pull the loom all the way back from the tail lights. Not quite sure what this little plug is for. Yeah, this little oil pump is quite ingenious. I'm not quite sure how it works yet. I haven't figured it out. I've just figured it out. Now that we have the battery box removed, it gives us a good look at the two-stroke pump and the power valve motor. So the two-stroke pump, you've got 4 little pipes coming out the back of it, and that little pipes feed into the back of the carb inlets. So when the carb is drawing air, the two-stroke oil is getting pumped through, gets sucked into the inlet, and then mixing with the fuel and giving you the lubrication that you need. This little pipe here is the feed for the pump, which comes directly from the two-stroke tank. Now, to activate the pump, this cable is attached to the throttle cable. So every time you're giving the bike throttle, it's actually stroking the pump and pumping two-stroke into these little tubes. It's pretty ingenious, very mechanical. Now this here is your power valve motor. So these two cables get joined to the power valve. So when the motor moves, it's actually turning the power valve back and forth. Now if I cycle the ignition, you can see the power valve stroking back and forth. And that's usually just a factory self-test at the very start. But what is interesting, if you look at the oil pump, it actually pulls it back as well. Now I can only presume it's doing that, when the pump is stroked that way, it's an extra prime for starting the bike. I'll probably have the RTFM to figure that exactly, but it's just a great feat of engineering. And it's just not something you see in modern bikes these days. Back to the problem at hand in getting this rear mudguard, the plastic mudguard off. I think I've used this tool in anger twice since I bought it like 12 years ago, but I'm hoping it's going to work for this little clip. Oh, look at that. Taken off, left the clip intact. That just never happens. I've been working on old Hondas. All the wiring is so similar. It's exactly the same as my old CB750. Common earth, different indicators. Hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it? As I'm wiping this rear fender down, I'm beginning to think the 27,000 kilometers on the clock of this thing is not quite accurate. I think it's a second-hand speedo that's actually showing higher mileage than this bike's actually done. Because the rear fender is perfect. There's no cracks, even the rubber is in great condition, there's no broken clips. I mean, it's a 40-year-old bike, that never happens. And the other part, I've not actually looked at this yet. Again, you know, you've got all the clips are intact. It's It's mint. There's no way this is 26,000 kilometers. What I'm going to do is pack all the lights, indicators, mirrors, all the fragile stuff, and the plastics obviously, separate to being connected to metal. That way when it goes into a box, it can be bubble wrapped all the way around and protected on every corner, and it's not connected to something small, long, so if something in the packing crate gets hit here, it's not going to damage the light at the end. I've got to think, all these parts are going to go to a home somewhere. So they need to be, if they came off the bike minty, they need to leave the country minty. Same goes for these little exhaust hangers. If I take them off and even just turn them around, keep them bolted in the same way, at least I'm more protected. It looks like that could get easily bent or damaged if packed the wrong way, and it protrudes and everything else. Now we're getting somewhere. The exhausts are going to be the next big thing, and that's going to reveal the shock, which is underslung on this bike, which I'm quite curious to see how it works. Well, just like the top ones, the exhausts are in really good condition. Really good condition. We know that they've been reconditioned based on the top ones. Well, I presume they have, unless they've been brought new old stock at some point, but looking at that there as well, it's been painted with a washer on it. But yeah, solid cans, beautiful welding on the end cans. The end cans are, I'm not gonna lie, mint. There's no other word for it, they're just mint. Amazing condition, really, truly amazing condition. Whoever's looking for building a concours, RZV, RD, RZ, these are the pipes for you, for sure. Rear pegs are next. It's interesting how far things have come in the way of pegs and rear sets, considering okay, this is an exhaust hanger as well, but look at the size of it. And I'm gonna guess it's heavy as well. Look at the size of that thing, as someone said. I'm not going to take the stand off yet, because there's a possibility this bike might have to come off the ramp in a rolling state. And if it does, I need a stand for it to sit on. I'm only going to take this off once we know this is coming out. While I'm here, let's take it off, it's plastic. Oh. Huh. Another yet ingenious little design there. It's hardly touched. Amazingly good condition. There's a lot more going on this side. Quite mechanical, quite lovely to see actually. Like modern day bikes, you've got your rear brake lever which drives a plunger into your master cylinder. So that's no real change. Although somebody's put a really nice line on here, and it's obviously been here for a long time. The master cylinder drives into a reservoir, and that reservoir is thick plastic, unlike the Brembo master cylinders, which are commonly found now. I mean, they do the job, but in heat, especially in the UAE heat, it lasts about 5 years, 6 years, they start to get really nasty and crack, if kept in sunlight a lot. What else we're seeing here? We've got this little line here, which is your brake light switch. So as the brake pedal is pressed, it pulls down on a switch and breaks a contact, gives a signal to the light, and then a little return spring just to make sure it's all returning to the right place. It's just lovely. It really is. Old school. I love it. Like everything else on the bike, everything's in really good condition. The brake switch is great condition. The wire has got the right bend radius for everywhere it needs to be. All the gear linkages and brake linkages are free moving. You can see remnants of grease. It's been well maintained. Hardly any scratches. Is it original paint? Probably. And even the chain guard, it's hardly any grease inside it. There's hardly any scratches on it. You know, for something that usually gets a lot of wear and tear, it's in really good condition. Very good condition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie all these parts in some way so A, they don't get missed, and B, when they're in a packaging box, they can't get damaged. Because whoever ends up owning all these new pieces, want to make sure that they get it in the same condition I took it off at. And everything is where it needs to be. As I said, these parts might not be good for what I need them for, but they'll be very good for other people. So we can keep these magical bikes running. I know, not this one, but it's my project. Now, a little bit of a disaster. Just been in my toolbox to grab a ratchet, and my half-inch drive snap-on ratchet is covered in rust. And this is ages with me, if not older, and it was given to me by a dear friend of mine. But we took it to Bonneville with us, and it's obviously been lying in the toolbox, and just where moisture and stuff's been lying on it, it's been rusting. So everything stopped. This is going to be fixed. That's better. All the surface rust gone, a bit of a buff, a bit of a coating with lubricant and WD-40. Better. And this is probably not the only tool that I'm going to find which is suddenly springing rust, a bit like the the land speed bike. The Bonneville salt is nasty. Anyway, caliper. First thing first, let's get rid of the brake fluid, because that's just going to upset my happiness if I end up spilling it all over the floor. Because I've never done that before. Assuming there's going to be a small rubber diaphragm in here. There is. With the washer, yes. Fluid's actually clean. It's always good. Now I'm going to leave these all connected as one piece. Will I? Yeah. It can be packed as one piece. Then whoever wants it, you can put it back together as one piece. If you start taking it out, then you've got to find things to plug up the holes, and brake fluid tends to run through it and get into everything else, and it makes a mess. Ask me how I know. It's such a big thing compared to modern day calipers. It's huge. Even the disc, the thickness of the disc, a vented disc, is massively thick. Wow. Pads are brand new. Wow. Like everything else, it is in amazing condition. Pads are brand new. It's got a very heavy, thick coat of paint on it, whether it can't be standard, that's going to be done retroactively. It's a really beautiful Goodrich line on it. Really lovely. Yeah, it's in very good condition. Now, the caliper mount will be married back up to the caliper when I get the wheel out. But I will take the drive arm off now, because there's another job to do. And then we'll get the rest later. So we're back into split pins. How about that? Things are now getting interesting. So to get this engine out, there's a removable frame rail here. It's just on one side. So that tells me the engine must come forward and out this way. But underneath the engine is the shock absorber. So that kind of has to be disconnected first, I think. Oh. Yeah, it's on some sort of frame. Okay, which bolts to the back and does bolt to the bottom of the engine. So the rear shock is going to have to be removed first. If you're going to remove the rear shock, you may as well remove the rear end. We can always put an axle stand. This is going to be interesting. This is going to need a bit of pondering of where we go next. I think this is probably a good time to pause the video here before we start going into removing a lot of these ancillaries to get this engine out. Hope you enjoyed what we've been watching so far. Thank you very much for all the comments on YouTube. It really helps to understand what everybody wants to see out of this. Let me know if these videos are still too short, too long, what else do you want to see. It's all getting stripped anyway, so if you've got any suggestions, please let me know. Until then, we'll see you next week.